All right, 6:02, so we're going to get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, parents of fifth graders, our incoming sixth grade, and welcome to any sixth graders that are out there watching and viewing this tonight. You guys are officially the Grover Cleveland Middle School class of 2024. It's kind of hard to believe to think that far down the road right now, but in September, you guys will be here, and we look forward to having you. I just want to throw out one message before we get started. We are recording this tonight. So if you have any friends who were not able to make it tonight, or if you just wanted to go back and listen to the information again that we're trying to give you tonight, you'll be able to do that. We will post it on the Grover Cleveland Middle School website, hopefully sometime tomorrow for those of you that want to go back and view it. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is John Bertolo. I am the principal here at Grover Cleveland Middle School. For those of you who don't know me well, when you walk into my office, there is nothing but Marvel things all over the place, Marvel superheroes. And the reason that I mention that to get started here tonight is tonight you're going to meet a lot of people, a lot of important teachers, and there's this quote. It's an Avengers quote, but it says, "There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if we could become something more." And the people you meet tonight, they are my Avengers. When I need them to step into action, when I need them to do something, when I need them to teach you and educate you, they're the ones that I call on. So tonight, I am here as your principal, but I'm also here as Nick Fury, and the people that you will meet are the Grover Cleveland Middle School Avengers. So just to tell you a little bit about what a typical day here would look like at the middle school. At some point during the summer, you'll get something that looks like this. This is your general schedule. If you're doing any type of music group, which they will talk about later on in this presentation, typically they will meet during the zero period, which takes place between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. There's designated days that you will meet, and again, they will talk about that a little bit later on. You will have a homeroom from 8:35 to 8:45. And then from that point, the rest of the day is pretty straightforward. Depending on which quad you are in, you will either have your cycle class or your PE health class first period. You'll have back-to-back what we call academic classes, which we'll talk about. You'll have a 30-minute lunch period. You'll have your last 3 academic classes, and then you'll finish the day with your cycle or PE, depending on what you didn't have first period. So if you had cycle first period, you'll have PE 8th period and vice versa. What it looks like in Genesis when you get a chance to pull that up in the summer is it does look a little overwhelming, and it does look a little confusing at first because it talks about quarters. There are 4 quarters during the school year here at the middle school. And you don't need to have this memorized now. This is just to give you a general idea of what the general day will look like. But as I mentioned on your schedule, you have your what we call the academic classes, which would be math, language arts, science, social studies, and Spanish. As I mentioned with the 1st and 8th period, you would have either health or PE, and your cycle would consist of either art of writing, innovation and research, music, or art, which again, as we go through this presentation, you'll learn a little bit more about each of those. And of course, your 30-minute lunch period. I know you guys are probably anxious to know what the school actually looks like. So this is just to give you a visual of a couple locations that are pretty important for you to know. To the left-hand side, we have our cafeteria. To the right-hand side, of course, we have our beautiful gymnasium. In this shot, on the left-hand side, you'll see our auditorium, where if you're involved in the music program, you will find yourself in there several times. We will probably have grade level meetings and assemblies and things like that will also take place in the auditorium, as well as if you're involved with the spring musical, that would take place in the auditorium as well. On the right-hand side, you will see our media center. When you're an 8th grader, you'll have a cycle class that takes place in the media center, but obviously throughout the, your 3 years here, you will have several opportunities to visit media center and check out books and all that great stuff. This is what the third floor looks like, the sixth grade floor. And on the right-hand side, just a general idea of what a sixth grade classroom looks like. Probably not too different from your elementary classrooms. Just to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we do here at the middle school in terms of activities that you could get involved with. And again, we have some speakers throughout this program that'll elaborate on some of these things a little bit more. But student council, this year we have a pretty large number of participants, and we have a decent amount of sixth graders who were involved. And student council is really important because they're the ones who are helping make decisions for what we do here at Grover Cleveland Middle School. There's some clubs that you have opportunities to join, such as the Literacy Magazine, the Young Writers Club, and the Gay Straight Alliance. During a typical school year, which hopefully next year we will be able to do this again, but typically we have 4 school dances throughout the course of the school year. Every Wednesday, we'll have an abbreviated schedule where we will either be participating in advisory or an enrichment period, which again, we'll talk about in a little bit. And as I mentioned before with the auditorium, we also have the spring musical. So as I mentioned before, we have a lot of great presenters and speakers tonight. So to start us off, to tell you a little bit about some of the things that are going on in math, I give you our math sixth grade team.
Hello, I'm Mr. Saito. I'm one of the math teachers in sixth grade, and Mrs. Keenan is also here. You'll hear from her in just a second. We didn't want to go through everything that we would go through at back to school night in September, as far as like everything in the curriculum that your child will learn. We thought what might be helpful are things that can help your child feel more prepared or confident coming into the school year in September. So as the screen shows, some of the things that you might want to have your child brush up on or get some extra practice with prior to September would be multiplication facts and understanding how to compute basic operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing with whole numbers, fractions, and decimals. So anything that they've gone up through 5th grade. You don't have to get ahead and do 6th grade level stuff. And then also understanding place value and rounding for whole numbers and decimals, like I mentioned, anything that they've learned up through the end of 5th grade would definitely help them, not only in the beginning of the year, but throughout the entire year, just with all the different operations and other more higher level topics that we'll cover. It just helps a lot to have the basics down pat. And I think Ms. Keenan is going to say a few words now.
Can you hear me? Very good. All right. Hi, incoming 6th graders. We look forward to seeing you guys in September. Like Mr. Saito just said, you can go to some resources that we provided for you on the left to practice some of your multiplication facts and your basic operations. One of them is Prodigy. I know some of you may have used it or use it in elementary school, and another good website is Khan Academy. Also at the bottom of our slide is our email addresses. So once you find out your teachers, I think more towards the end of the summer, if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us and ask us any questions. Also, a couple of the other teachers are Miss Best, who was not able to come tonight, and Miss Chomko is also a 6th grade math teacher. That's it.
All right, thank you. Next we have, so one thing that I found is as much as myself and our teachers are going to tell you about all the great things that are going on at the middle school, I always find that when you hear it from the students themselves, sometimes it holds more value. So we have 3 of our finest 8th graders here tonight, Sophia Basil, Malia Hillman, and Greg Garcia. So take it away, guys.
Hi, on behalf of all the other house leaders, I'd like to say welcome to GCMS. Next, I'm going to talk about the house project. I'm a house leader for Respect, and I'm going to walk you through what the house project is all about. Have you ever read or watched the Harry Potter series? If you have, then you know how the new students get sorted into their houses in their first year. This is kind of like that. Inspired by Harry Potter, 6th graders get sorted into GCMS houses. We have 8 houses: endurance, courage, respect, knowledge, leadership, responsibility, integrity, and citizenship. On sorting day, 6th graders will find out what house they belong to. They will belong to their house for all 3 years at GCMS and participate in fun activities to earn points for their house. Houses give kids a feeling of belonging. Incoming 6th graders can make friends of all ages through their house.
Once you are sorted into your house, then the fun may begin. During a normal year, we would have house days, and during these house days, we would set up activities such as Guess That Tune, Handball, Capture the Chicken, and musical chairs. However, this year we had to adjust and make our activities virtual. Some of the activities that the house leaders had to host this year include the Academic Bowl, Spring Chalk Art, and Fall Scavenger Hunt. Although everybody had to adjust with the pandemic, we still tried to make the best out of what we had.
So another club that you might want to be interested in joining in is Student Council. It's a student-run club at GCMS. And we plan fundraisers, student events, and even contests that engage the whole student body and bring our community together. So this past year has presented a challenge for Student Council, but we still managed to have a March Madness tournament event, several Among Us gaming events, Spirit Weeks, the Winter Variety Show, virtual movie night, and more. And at Student Council, you can actually share your ideas on what you would think the school would make the school better. And this is the club where you can really get your voices heard and come up with new ideas. And you also get to meet with other 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders at GCMS and work with them. So it's a great way to immerse yourself at the school and meet a lot of different other people. So if you have any other questions about the GCMS clubs, Student Council, the House Project, or anything else about student life, feel free to email us at our emails right here. So you can email myself, Sophia, or Greg. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming. You guys gave up your busy Wednesday nights to come and spend a few minutes with us, so we appreciate it. If you guys want to hang on for a little while, you can. If you guys have homework to get to, you guys can sign up. So next up, we have our language arts teachers.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miss McCarthy. I'm one of the language arts teachers.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Spina. I'm one of the language arts teachers. Super excited to get started with you next year.
I'm Mrs. Chomko. I'm also one of the language arts teachers. Can't wait to get started.
And hi, I'm Miss Sheridan. I'm also a language arts teacher.
So in 6th grade language arts, most of our program is pretty much explained right here, what you really need to know at this moment. So the goal of language arts is to equip students with strategies and critical thinking skills that will help them be confident and independent readers and writers. This is done through exploration of high interest texts of various genres and readers' choice and book clubs.
And for writing, students will write for different purposes while also learning to express their thoughts in a well-written, detailed, and organized manner.
A lot of people often come to us and ask, how can we prepare for 6th grade? And we think some of the best things are read and write often. Have yourself start writing, write in your journal, write on paper, and just start writing for stamina. You want to be able to maybe start off for 5 minutes writing and then just expand on that over the course of the summer. Same goes with reading. Reading is so important. We do a lot of it. We have some amazing books in 6th grade, but you need to get into the groove of reading. So if you can pick up a book, Maybe start reading for 10 minutes every day, start expanding on that. So by the time you get to 6th grade, we have reading for homework. It's a breeze.
And of course, the first thing that you're going to have to do before coming to 6th grade is going to be your summer reading assignment. Your 5th grade teachers will tell you all about that, and we will have that information posted on our website as well. And if you have any questions, once you find out who your language arts teacher is, you can email us towards the end of the summer about that.
All right. Thank you very much, language arts teachers. Very exciting. All right. So next we have music.
So
Band, orchestra, chorus, they're all covered here. So
yeah, we're trying to let everybody know what we've got. So I'm Dina Larson. A lot of you might know me if you're from Washington or Lincoln School. So it's always nice to see familiar faces when they come into the middle school, and I can be one of those familiar faces. I'm going to talk a little bit about each of the ensembles and explain a little bit about what happens at Grover Cleveland Middle School, because it's different than what typically would happen at the elementary level. So our band director is actually Mr. Larson. If you're from Washington School, you're very familiar with him. And the way we work it, as Mr. Bertolo explained earlier, we get to see the kids twice a week for these ensembles. And one is typically in that 0 period class that Mr. Bertolo mentioned earlier, which is from 8 to 8:30. And the other one would be on Thursdays during your PE or health cycle. So what that would mean is if you have that phys ed cycle from 8:45 to 9:30 on Thursdays, instead of going to gym, you would go to the ensemble that you're in. If you have it at the end of the day, 2:05 to 2:50, that's when you would come to the ensembles on Thursday. So for the band, the 6th grade will meet on Wednesdays at that 0 period class from 8 o'clock to 8:30. And then again on Thursday when you have gym, okay? We know that's a little crazy and a lot to remember in the beginning of the school year, but trust me, we're all flexible and very helpful. You'll find the other kids are very helpful in helping you remember, and we'll be reminding you. And there's announcements on Thursday mornings to tell you, hey, it's an ensemble day. So you'll get the hang of it. You'll get there. It's like when you start a new building, it's a little overwhelming. And then by the first few weeks, you've got it covered, and you can tell anybody where every room is and what you need to do. If you play a band instrument and you wanted to be in the jazz band, that is an extra curricular activity that you can also join. That typically starts in November, and it typically happens in that 0 period slot on Fridays. Okay, but that's another opportunity if you wanted to be in the jazz band. And the kids that are part of it, they are super excited to come there. That particular ensemble actually starts before 8 o'clock. That particular ensemble starts at 7:45, and that's because it only meets once a week. But I'll tell you, the kids that do it really enjoy it, and they do get some performance opportunities. Many of you might remember Mr. Downey because he did teach strings at the elementary level. He is a fabulous orchestra director that we have. And again, that will meet twice a week. The 6th grade orchestra meets on Mondays from 8 to 8:30. And then of course, at that gym phys ed cycle that we talked about earlier. If you play a string instrument, there's also an opportunity for you to audition for an extra special group that we have at the middle school called Con Brio. And that is an auditioned group, but don't let that intimidate you if you're a string player, because Mr. Downey will listen and he will pick people, select them to be in there. And we have absolutely had 6th graders been part of Con Brio before. So if you play strings and you wanted to audition for that group, you are certainly welcome to do so. And you shouldn't be intimidated just because you're in 6th grade. I'm the choral director there. And typically we would meet on Tuesdays in that 0 period slot. And then of course on Thursdays, when you have that phys ed schedule, either first period in the morning or last period at the end of the day. All 3 of the ensembles, band, orchestra, and chorus, will perform in a winter concert and a spring concert. Those are held, both of those concerts, winter and spring, are held at night. So that's a little different from the elementary where the winter concert is during the school day. This one will be at both of them, both winter and spring will be at night. And there's other opportunities as well to perform. There is an option, it's not mandatory, but there's an option for the band, orchestra, and chorus to take a trip to sing in front of some adjudicators so that we can get some feedback from them. And then we spend the rest of the day at Great Adventure. So that is an opportunity that we hope to be able to have back in place next year, we hope. But that's another opportunity for you. If you take a band or an orchestral instrument, you would also be part of the lesson program. And I can tell you for the woodwind instruments, Mr. Larson would be teaching you on what we call a rotating schedule on Wednesdays. So that would be a pull-out program, but you would not be missing the same time every week. We rotate the times so that you're not missing the same class every week. And Mr. Verano can talk a little bit more about that when he explains his cycle class, because he also teaches the percussion instruments on a rotating schedule. If you play a brass instrument, your lessons would most likely be taught by Mr. Burrows, who some of you know from the elementary schools because they've had lessons there. And Mr. Downey would be teaching the strings, the violins and the violas, and Mr. Cerniak would be teaching the basses and the cellos. If you already play one of these instruments, we'd love to have you join the ensemble, band, orchestra, or chorus. If you don't play an instrument yet, but you think it's something that would interest you, please feel free to talk to us. We can take anybody, whether or not you know how to read music at this point, or whether or not you've played an instrument before. We have plenty of beginners that start with lessons in 6th, 7th, and even 8th grade. And what we do if you are starting a band or orchestra instrument and you haven't played before is you would get into the lesson program. We do our pull-out lessons. And when the director and you feel confident and comfortable enough to be able to play the band music or the orchestra music, you are invited to join the ensemble when you're ready. Okay. Chorus, you can walk in the door because it's not an instrument kind of thing. I can take anybody that's interested and get you in right away in 6th or 7th and 8th grade. But of course, I want you in 6th grade. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Verano. So I think we can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you.
To seeing you.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Larson. Good evening, parents, guardians, and of course, incoming 6th grade students. My name is Mr. Verano, and I am very fortunate to be a part of our district-wide music department, along with Mr. Larson, Mrs. Larson, and Mr. Downey, along with Mr. Burrows, and all the other music faculty. My primary role is teaching cycle music. It is really cycle music technology. It is a required class. Your cycle classes throughout, you have 4 rotating cycles. You have art of writing, then you have innovation and research, and then music. You will have me for 1 marking period, as you will have for all of your cycles. Each cycle, 1 marking period long. It is a required class that will meet during your assigned cycle class for 1 marking period each year. And what we primarily do, we are basically a music production studio. We do electronic music creation and production, as well as various topics in music theory and music history. Now, for you boys and girls at home, in case you're wondering what that is, in simplified terms, music theory, all it is, it's how music works. And music history, we learn a little bit about music from a while back, just to make it a little bit easier. On the bottom right, you will see a picture, pre-pandemic, of course, of our Studio 316. It is a full-fledged room with quite a bit of expensive equipment. This is only the 3rd year that a lot of this equipment is in service, because thankfully we were able to get new equipment several years ago, and we're very, very lucky to have it and very fortunate to have it. So we have to make sure we take care of it when we are in there. Okay, 15 workstations, students and will usually share things. We'll usually all share. And of course, things are socially distanced now, but still able to work through things even with the situation as is. The application that we will be using the most, actually, you will see on the bottom right, it is called Soundtrap. That is our online digital audio workstation, which is basically a fancy way of saying this is our music production software. You're going to be learning processes that are similar to and basically the exact same of how professionals create music in the music industry today. And you'll be creating your own music. Some projects that we do in the class will be either researching other music's cultures, for example, music from Mexico or music from India, researching a little bit about them and presenting a podcast or creating a presentation on a career in music. There's tons of careers in music that you don't have to be a musician, but you can learn about and present about And also the two projects that are really big is you get to create your own song. So you are writing your own song, number one, basically learning how to produce electronic dance music or just electronic music in general using this software. And probably my favorite project out of all of them that I teach is a music and advertising, which is basically students will be randomly assigned a local Caldwell or West Caldwell business, and they will create a jingle for it. A jingle and 30-second radio commercial. I've had some really great ones for Benji's, Rockin' Joe's, Glazed Donuts, all food, of course, because everybody loves food. So these are some of the things that you can expect with Psychomusic technology. My email is mverano@cwcboe.org. In addition, I do teach percussion lessons to sixth graders. It is never too late, students, to begin starting an instrument. It is never too late. In fact, some students that I've had start in middle school, I had a young student start as a sixth grader, and he's so enthusiastic and he is so advanced and such a great student overall. And he's doing very, very well, extraordinary. And he's actually playing with the high school percussion ensemble as we speak. So it's kind of cool that he was able to build up his chops enough to be able to do that. Any questions or anything, obviously, please email me, and I look forward to having you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, music department, and thank you, Mateo, for talking about the first of the 4 cycle classes. The other 3 cycle classes, I'm just going to go through them very quickly just to give you a rough idea of what you're looking at. First, I guess the second cycle after music is innovation and research, and Mrs. Best teaches that class, and basically it's an introduction to STEM related challenges. Next we have art of writing, which is taught by Mr. McCall, and really it's a writing introduction kind of class which supports the language arts 6 curriculum as well, that they're working hand in hand and really trying to get a lot of the writing skills out of you, so you could be as great of a writer as possible and hopefully contribute to our literacy magazine and newspaper and all the other great things we're doing as well. And finally, art with Mrs. Morrissey. And you see some things on here, but it says that you'll use tempera paint, pencil, color pencil, crayon drawings, working with clay. It's a little bit of everything. So I think you guys will be very excited about getting a marking period with each of those 4 different classes that we have during the cycle period. Next up, we have our world language department, and in 6th grade, you will receive Spanish. So Spanish teachers, take it away.
Hola, I'm Senora Rango, and Senora Reyes and I, we both teach 6th grade Spanish. So next year you will have Espanol every day. I don't know if that's exciting or scary, but we're excited to have you next year. And in the beginning, it'll be a transition, the way you do in elementary school. It'll be a lot of vocabulary and with some numbers and time and emotions or some examples of, the vocabulary that we will cover next year in addition to a lot more. Whether you have Senora Reyes or I, you will have 2 very loud teachers speaking a lot of Espanol and expecting you to do the same. But there will be tests and quizzes the way there are in other classes, since you do have Spanish every day next year. But don't worry, we play a lot of games, we do a lot of practice, and we use it a lot so that you're good and ready to be prepared for those quizzes and tests. We also have, we'll be sending out probably a list of supplies along with your other 6th grade teachers that you will probably receive before the beginning of your 6th grade year, so that you know what supplies you'll need for our class. And eventually, after the vocabulary, we will ease you into some grammar, and you'll begin being able to communicate a little bit and create simple sentences. So we do cover some projects too, which are fun. We get a little bit into some cultural projects, and one of them is Dia de los Muertos, and Senora Reyes will fill you in a little bit about that and what we do for that cultural project.
myself. I had to mute myself. Hola, chicos. I'm Senora Reyes, and as Senora Rango told you, you're going to be seeing us every single day, which is awesome. We're very excited about that. You have Senor Rodriguez. He was fantastic. Just wait till you come to the middle school. You're going to have a lot of fun with us. We're going to be doing a lot of things with the Day of the Dead. We're going to have finally next year we'll be able to do our project again. We weren't able to do it this year because of our COVID situation, but we have some really fun things. We do a lot of visuals. You're going to see a lot of pictures. We're very enthusiastic, to say the least. All the other teachers hear us around the school. They can't help but hear Spanish. So Feliz Día de Cinco de Mayo hoy. For those of you who want to look up what it is, it's not exactly the independence of Mexico. It is actually the Battle of Puebla. So that's the first assignment. Look up what the Battle of Puebla is. So that is basically it. Be prepared to be enthused, okay? Ciao, chicos.
Adios.
Gracias, Spanish teachers. I think I said that correctly. Maybe not with the best pronunciation, but I knew the word, so I get bonus points for that. So next up, we have our 6th grade science department.
Hi, everybody. My name is Caitlin Hennigan. You'll see my married name up on the picture there. So if when you get your schedule next year, you see a different last name, that's me. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our topics for 6th science. We start off the year with astronomy, which tends to be a fan favorite in 6th grade. Everybody loves to talk about the planets, loves to talk about black holes, gravity. So we talk about that's the start of our year, and we talk about that first. A lot of times then we move into Earth's history, where we talk about rocks and minerals. We talk about the plates moving underneath Earth's crust, right? And what drives that. Then we move on to the weather. So we take a look at the atmosphere and what's happening there. And then finally, we close out the year with our environmental science unit, where we talk about different organisms and how they interact and how humans can impact that environment.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miss DiVincenzo. You'll know me next year as Mrs. Marks. You can see that's my married name on there. Some different activities that we do in science. We use a lot of new vocab for the beginning of each unit. We do a lot of fun interactive websites and videos. We'll also do reading and writing in science as well, based on some labs that we do. We do some really cool labs with Play-Doh. We do some labs with graham crackers and frosting and fruit roll-ups to represent plate tectonics. So that's a fun lab that everyone loves. We also do a lot of model drawing and presentations. We do decent amount of group projects and things like that. So some stuff to look forward to.
Hi, boys and girls. Hi, parents and guardians. I'm Christine Forte, and I hope you're all looking forward to your time coming at Grover Cleveland next year. We are looking forward to having you. And on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about some of the skills that are covered. In our curriculum, we look not only at the content, but also we look for these skills. Patterns such as predation and food webs. We can make connection between modern ecology and dinosaurs in the Mesozoic, and maybe make a dinosaur food web. Interpreting data, that might be data that we collect doing our own activities. It might be data that we find and use to construct an argument. And that's a lot of the writing that we do, is interpreting data and putting together an argument based on it. Cause and effect, we do cover not as much. That gets into a little bit more 7th and 8th grade science when you're looking at causation versus correlation. But we do a lot of model drawing. And you do need a title, labels, and captions. So it's not like nonverbal, but it is a different kind of intelligence. And it's tapping into a more artistic side of your brain, tapping into some different skills that you can use to express your understanding of a topic without always writing those paragraphs. You can see the percents on the bottom of the screen. They indicate what your grades are based on, and that's a school-wide model. Homework does count. Formative assessments are those everyday activities or activities that might take a couple of days, and summative assessments are the big ones, tests, projects, and writing after you have had a chance to revise it.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Science Department. Coming up next, we have, right. I'm going to turn it over to some of our very important people. Not that everybody's not important, but our guidance department and Miss Santulli, who, whenever you guys have any type of questions, concerns, issues, anything, these are the people that you will most likely be looking for. So I can turn it over to you guys.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to GCMS. It really is a very special place. My name is Susan Nogales, and I am one of the school counselors. If your last name begins with A through K, then you will have me for the next 3 years, and I look forward to meeting with you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Dave Kazmarek here. And again, like Ms. Nogales said, I am the tail end of the alphabet. But again, we tend to share our students, whoever they feel comfortable with, and we're always there to support the incoming students.
And I'm Debbie Santulli. I'm the bridge counselor at the SAC at the middle school, and I'm there to help provide support academically, socially, and emotionally.
There you go.
Just to give you a little idea of some of the things we do, because for many of you, this may be your first time having a school counselor. We know that the elementary schools have bridge counselors, but in addition to that, we have school counselors. We provide academic, social, emotional support to all of our students and their families. We can also provide mental health and social services resources for you if you should need them.
We work as a liaison between parents and teachers, as well as with students. Sometimes students, we work with students so that they can advocate for themselves with their teachers. That's very important. We assist students with executive functioning skills such as organizational and study skills, time management, and peer relationships at the middle school.
Hey, and I offer this to the parents as, we talk about all this transitioning, and this may be more heightened because of this year. Know that our 2 6th grade teams have been together, for a long time, and I find that they're transition experts. You'll see them work with the kids with their lockers and everything, but I find that the excitement of having your own locker, and kids always talk about better lunch food for some reason. It's the same service, but they seem to say that we have more options. So for some reason, that's a big deal. But I find the excitement overtakes the nervousness in just a week or two. So, when you talk to your sons and daughters, it's a little nerve-wracking, but there is a lot more support systems available, at the middle school level. So we look forward to meeting with you. And that first day, there are a lot of people there to help them get through the day. And then when they start decorating their lockers, it seems to take a little bit of edge off. So we look forward to meeting you. And know that we're gonna, we're making plans to go out to the grammar schools at the end of this year to meet them in person too. So I think that all helps when they put a face to a name. Okay, thanks so much for coming out tonight.
When talking about some of the very important people at the school, we can't forget Miss Curzon, who is our school nurse.
Hi, everyone. I really am looking forward to meeting all of you. And I will meet all of the students next year when I do their screenings, their heights, their weights. So all the 6th graders will have that done. One very important thing I need to emphasize is that you need to have 2 immunizations. So parents and guardians, please make your appointments early with their doctors to get these 2 very important vaccines done before school starts. So they will need their meningococcal and their Tdap vaccines. And if you're there and you get a physical, if you want to have the form filled out and sent over to us, that would be very helpful as well. So there's 2 links in the 2 folders, one yellow and one blue, on the slide that available to you. And you can see on the GCMS website, I'll have a web page there also, but all the forms that you will need will be there that you can just download. The physical forms and the immunization forms, any medications that you're going to be coming to school with will all be there as well. So again, I really look forward to meeting all of you, and have a great rest of your school year.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Karzim. And as she said, all these forms will be available on the middle school website shortly. So within, a few days or so, be on the lookout for those and try to get those done as soon as you can. I do see on our panelist group here that the last two presenters have shown up. They had a prior commitment right before this, and we were trying to time it perfectly. So it looks like we won. I'm going to turn this over to our wonderful social studies department.
All right. Can you hear me? Because I'm sitting in my car. I have no idea if I'm even audible.
Yep, we hear you.
We're good. All right. And Mr. Teshkoyan, you're there too. I can't see anything, so I have no idea.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I promise the children will be in good hands. We're much more organized when we're in school and not sitting in a car or whatever on a Zoom. But we're really looking forward to meeting the new students next year. Mr. Teshkoyan, you want to talk a little bit about what we cover in social studies in 6th grade?
Yeah, this will be our second year with the new curriculum. We'll be studying United States history from George Washington as president through Reconstruction, but in normal times, we probably get to World War I and World War II. My class right now is on World War I, and we're hoping to get to World War II by the end of the year. We study all kinds of history, but we work in citizenship and culture. We do some geography. We're heavy on the primary and secondary sources, so we're looking at a lot of material. All right, we're expecting people to analyze history through critical thinking. I recognize themes. We do a lot of themes through history, hoping to make a connection to today by bringing the past to life. Ms. Sotinsky.
All right. And the other thing that we really try to focus on in 6th grade social studies is using our content more as a vehicle for other skills. We try to support our language arts colleagues. We'll do a lot of nonfiction reading and comprehension strategies in that, as well as some writing with, critical thinking skills, stating a claim, evaluating multiple primary sources, a lot of primary sources, and then sticking to that claim and coming up with some evidence and some reasoning that would support it. So we really try to support our language arts colleagues in all that we do. The reading and writing in particular. And our one request over the summer would be, if you have a chance, we would love it if you could do just a little review of Revolutionary War with your children. I don't know how much, with the way the year is going, how much they're going to get to that in 5th grade this year. They may or may not cover it. And we pick up right after the Revolutionary War. So even if there was a chance to just do a little bit of Revolutionary War, find a little made for kids video online. There's all sorts of just 10-minute sort of little videos, just so they have some familiarity with that, and we can hit the ground running in the fall. We're looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you very much, social studies. We don't need to see that. There we go. All right. So parents, when you received the reminder this week about this orientation, you also should have received an attachment which had some of the frequently asked questions on there. And one of the questions that came up multiple times, it even came up in the chat tonight, is will students have an in-person tour of the building prior to the start of the school year? So assuming that next year is back to normal, or at least as normal as possible, our plan is to do an in-person 6th grade orientation on Wednesday, September 1st at 1 p.m. Obviously, as we get later in the summer, we'll provide more information to you about that. But right now, that is our current plan. During the orientation, you'll get a chance to meet all the presenters tonight. You'll get to meet them in person. You'll get a tour of the building. You'll start learning about lockers and all that stuff. And you'll just get to see the physical building. You'll get an actual tour of the school. On the actual first day of school, which I believe is September 9th next year, we're also planning on doing an extended homeroom for the first day of school, So that way, again, you guys will have an opportunity to go over, any questions that you have. Again, practice lockers and all that stuff. One of the things that I want to emphasize, I know some of the teachers tonight have started talking about what you can do in the summer to start prepping to be a middle schooler. Our motto here at the middle school is make a difference. So I want you all to start getting in the mindset of how can you come into this building and start making a difference for yourself and for somebody else. Is it doing your homework every night? Is it behaving in class? Is it looking for opportunities in school or outside of school, be involved with an organization or community service or anything like that? And obviously you'll get a lot of exposure here to some of the different ways you can do that, but I want you to start getting in that mindset now that when you walk in here in September as a middle schooler, that you're here and you're ready to start making a difference. I will say that we do have a few minutes for questions, and I see them starting to pop into the Q&A a little bit, but I just want to mention one other thing. So in the month of May, each elementary school is going to have their monthly HSA meeting. I will be popping into each HSA meeting for a few minutes just to answer any additional questions that you guys might have. So if you think of anything, please stop into the HSA meeting. Of course, I'm always available by email. I should have put it on the slide, but it's jbertolo@cwcboe.org. I do want to just shout out and point out that Ms. Abramovich is also here tonight. And in September, she will be the vice principal at the middle school. So I don't know if she wants to say anything or just kind of wave.
Sorry, Mr. Patel, I couldn't get off mute. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to start in July at the middle school. Some of you might know me from the high school or my current role as the Director of Special Services. And so I look forward to working with everyone in September.
All right, thank you. One of the questions that just popped in, the September 1st orientation is just for students. Obviously parents can drop off, but it'll be a student-only presentation, tour, and all that stuff. Are you allowed to decorate your locker? I believe you could decorate the inside of the locker, but not the outside. Is there a soccer team in the school? So unfortunately, at this point, there are no middle school athletics. I know some middle schools around do, but Grover Cleveland does not have any middle school sports at this time. When we do the enrichment, which is every other Wednesday, as I was talking about before, there are some opportunities there. There will be some athletic offerings. I know there's basketball and some other things, but in terms of an actual team, we do not have that right now at the middle school. So ordering lunch is, that's an interesting question. I'm going to turn it over to one of the teachers only because this is also my first year at the middle school and we have not had lunch yet this year. So I don't want to give false information.
Mr. Bertolo, I'll take that question since Mr. Kaczmarek and I do lunch duty every day. So it's a regular cafeteria, and in the beginning, the line is very long because it's new to the kids and they don't know all the options and they have to put in their code. You can set up the account online. I think it's school. I forget the name of the school, the food account, maybe Mr. Bertolo knows.
Maschio's.
Thank you, Maschio's. And then there's a link on the website, I believe, where you can set up an account. That is the easiest, most efficient way if you load your children money, and you can also monitor what they're eating. The majority of kids bring a combination. So they might go up for a cookie, but they might bring their sandwich, and they might go up for their entree and they might bring their snack. So it's just a trial and error, and they'll find their favorites, and some days they'll buy, some days they won't, and some days it'll be a combination.
Thank you. Will the school provide Chromebooks, or is it suggested for students to have their own? So that's an interesting question because right now, I don't know what next year is going to look like. So Typically, most of the classrooms have Chromebooks in them that we will share or that we will distribute if they're needed. Obviously, the post-COVID world could look very, very different. And right now, if you had a middle schooler in our building, we encourage or we tell students that they should bring their own device or they should borrow one from the school for the year. So at this point, I would say we'll provide as much information when we know it, because right now, I don't exactly know what 21, 22 is going to look like. I would think we'll be back to providing them within the classroom, but I don't know for sure until we know what next year is going to look like. In terms of quads, so there's 2 teams or 2 quads at the middle school. When you're assigned to a quad, you're with a designated set of teachers for science, social studies, math, language arts. They're divided randomly, I should say. There's a point where when we're in Genesis doing the scheduling, we hit a magic button and it will split everybody as evenly as possible. So once we get to that point in the summer and we have your schedules finalized, you will find out which quad you are with. Give the last call for any other questions. And remember, HSA meetings this month. Any other questions, shoot me an email, call the middle school. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you guys have. But hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully 5th graders, you don't feel too overwhelmed right now and you feel excited about coming here next year. I'm going to stop sharing. And one more just popped in. Let's see. Yes, there is a GAP program here at the middle school. Typically, the way it's worked in the past is students who are in it at the elementary level are automatically grandfathered into it at the 6th grade level. All right.
Mr. Piccolo?
Yes.
I forgot, it's Dina Larson, music. I forgot to mention one thing that I just wanted to make sure parents and students were aware of. If a student wanted to be in more than one ensemble, like bands and orchestra, or orchestra and chorus, or chorus and band, or whatever, they are certainly welcome to do so. And the music teachers will work, with that student to help them remember what the schedule is, because that can be a little crazy in the beginning of the school year, but they're absolutely welcome to be in more than one. We've even had some that are in all 3, so you are welcome to do that if you choose. And I just wanted to make sure that was clear because I forgot to say it. Sorry.
Right.
Bye.
Great. Thank you. All right, so that brings us to the end of our presentation. Class of 2024 and parents, thank you very much for coming. Teachers, guidance, Ms. Curzum, everybody that's here, thank you very much for coming. And again, if you have any additional questions, shoot me an email, May HSA meetings, I'd be happy to answer anything you guys have. All right, otherwise, thank you for coming and have a good night.